Hello, readers and writers. I am Anthony L. Manna, otherwise known as Professor Grandpa Tonio, the book guy and the writing guy. And I'm here today for the 5th episode from my new book, Loukas and the Game of Chance, illustrated by Donald Babish. In the last episode, when we ended it, Loukas had met Keeper of the Forest, a comical, wise, entertaining environmentalist. And Keeper of the Forest advised Loukas, if he wanted to find destiny and change his life and save himself from the mistake he made at a game of chance, which was a card game where he lost everything, he would have to travel through the enchanted forest in order to look for the Vermilion Palace where Destiny lived since the beginning of time with her son, the sun, and her daughter, the moon. And now Loukas is ready to depart. Well into his travels, Keeper told Loukas he would come to a radiant palace where Destiny and her son and daughter have lived since the beginning of early time. And now, readers and writers, I say to you, when Loukas moves through the forest, he often reaches for his flute, because you found out in the other episodes that Loukas is an expert flute player, so expert that he befriended Lambros, the snake, who gave Loukas and his family a fortune, which he also lost at the game of chance, the card game. I am asking you then, readers and writers, to think of Loukas' music playing as he moves through the forest, thinking of, what does he get out of that? Why does he return to the flute so frequently? What does it offer him? What does it give to him? Well into his travels, Keeper told Loukas he would come to a radiant Vermilion Palace where Destiny and her son and daughter have lived since the beginning of earthly time. Along the way, thou will arrive at a steep bluff Highlanders called Raven's Peak, Keeper said. A short distance from there, be prepared to meet up with anguished souls. Sad, so sad. Like thee, my good man, they are in need of Destiny's help. Yes, so it will be. Oh, spare thyself a pound of grief, so by consoling these suffering creatures. Leave them each with a promise. Tell them thou wilt lay their requests at the feet of Destiny, Luna, and Ilion, moon and sun. Thou wilt beg the all-knowing, all-wise mother, daughter, and son to help these needy ones endure their struggles. Loukas gave Keeper a quizzical look while he gestured his agreement. Go now, go on and on. Follow the path, into the forest's depths. May courage be thy compass, caution thy guide, and good fortune thy reward. Keeper sang. Keeper tossed the umbrella into the bed of the cart and took hold of one of the cart's handles. He, keeper of the forest plants, keeper of the forest sows, keeper of the forest knows all. He, the adventurer cried. Keeper then steered the cart down the forest path at a quickening pace. Soon the cart rose inches above the ground and drove Keeper into the darkness. Seconds later, the moon rolled out from behind a cluster of clouds, offering Loukas a shaft of eerie light to guide him onto the forest pathway. All through the night, Loukas cowered at the yelps and cries, the baying and shrieking of restless animals that grew startled by his heavy footfalls. Suddenly, a rush of winged creatures circling overhead sent Loukas running down the path, far from their harsh squeals. Hours later, the first streaks of light dappled the path. As Loukas drew nearer to a broad chain of jagged cliffs, flocks of jet-black ravens soared and glided on gentle breezes. Their loud, throaty croaking pierced the dawn's stillness. Here is Raven's Peak, the very bluff Keeper had told of, Loukas thought. Not far beyond the bluff's steep rock face, a woman's screams drew Loukas into a misty clearing. Once he moved past a narrow bend, he spied 3 young ladies flailing about. Each threw handfuls of dirt onto flames facing through a pile of brush that stood within reach of a wooden cottage. At once, Loukas sped to the water trough that stood nearby the cottage. With bucketfuls of water, he doused the fire within minutes. When the danger had passed, the ladies thanked Loukas for his kindness. Loukas gaped at the ladies in wonder. The strange white gloss of their complexions roused his curiosity. May my sisters and I inquire as to what brings you to this forsaken place, where even swallows rarely fly by? The sister with the wild crimson hair asked. I am on my way to seek the healing powers of destiny, Loukas replied. I will appeal to destiny, her son Ilion, the sun, and her daughter Luna, the moon, to save me from my disgrace. I pray they will help me overcome the loss I suffered because of my hateful pride. Such a pity, sir, said the sister with a towering shock of shaggy, coal-black hair. Allow us to inform you that destiny, sun, and moon are not easily won over, she warned. Time upon time, my sisters and I have joined our mother Kalo to plead with destiny, sun, and moon to bless us with the miracle of true love, explained the crimson-haired sister. Again and again, and yet again, we have sought the approval of that hard-hearted trio, said the sister, with deep, scraggly green hair the color of seaweed. Regret filtered through her every word. But nothing, offered the black-haired sister with a loud sigh. Yet, if you still have it in mind to petition destiny, moon, and sun for deliverance from your disgrace, the black-haired sister told him, then you must head due north and look for the mother, son, and daughter in their dazzling palace, Vermilion Palace. And when you come to that hallowed place, let them hear of the flame of desire that burns eternal in our hearts, implored the crimson-haired sister. In one tender voice, the sisters softly sang their prayer of longing. O destiny, O sun, O moon, may your wisdom our happiness favor. To each of us grant a sacred union to savor. Inspired by love, eternally kept sublime, forged into bliss by your grand design. Bringing his hands to his lips, Loukas bowed to the sister's bidding. He promised to stand before destiny, moon, and sun. With the sister's request, should he ever wander into their hallowed presence, mother, daughter, and son. At their farewell, the sisters offered Loukas a sprig of dried heather and a sackful of bread, cheese, and olives. He thanked them and pointed himself due north to once again take up his quest. May courage be your compass, the red-haired sister called to him. May caution be your guide, cried the black-haired sister. And may good fortune be your reward, declared the three in one voice. Loukas pressed onward. From time to time he reached into his satchel and took out his flute. As he moved briskly down the path, he settled on playing a cheerful tune to fight off his fear of destiny's rejection. One of his favorite songs followed the adventurous journey of a wandering seafarer on his way homeward. Loukas smiled, recalling happy times when Lambros danced to the seafarer's joyful story. Whenever Loukas played the song, the snake never failed to sway to the music's changing chords. Will I ever again find the peace and happiness that came into my life when Lambros, the snake, and I became friends? Loukas thought sadly. Just as the sun was edging toward the day's zenith, Loukas stopped to rest in a grove of olive trees. No sooner had he settled onto the cool earth than a raggedy giant came barreling down the path and stood over him, snorting. The giant dwarfed Loukas with its huge body. And then what? Well, I'll stop there and return soon to talk about the giant that dwarfed Loukas with his huge body. And don't forget to think about Lukas's flute playing and what it helps him to do as he barrels through the enchanted forest. Fare thee well.